So we're back with you. We have the first guest in the studio with us, Mr. Gregory Delsol. He's the Senior Planning Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture. So we're talking agriculture this morning. Good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
It's good to have you. All right. So what is your role really as a Senior Planning Officer? What are you responsible for?
Okay, I think I have to track back a little bit. My substantive position in the ministry is a Senior Planning Officer. But as of 2 years ago, I was seconded to coordinate a project being implemented by the ministry called the AgriCom project. So these are my two roles, but I still support the ministry in other initiatives that they're taking on. So in planning, we do project writing, we do some policy development, data management, monitoring and implementation of activities of the Ministry of Agriculture.
So that falls under the AgriCom project?
That
or
falls
that's in
under
general?
planning.
Under planning?
Yeah.
So what
but
exactly?
the AgriCom project is a different project. It's a project being funded by the World Bank. The World Bank issued a loan to the government of Grenada to build competitiveness within the agricultural sector. So under that project, the World Bank is the government of Grenada, via the loan facility, is providing matching grant support to farmers groups and farmers organizations to implement different investments to spur development in the agriculture sector.
So who qualifies or how do they qualify? Are you looking at people in the rural areas, single household people? How's that?
The AgriCom project was geared towards supporting groups, not individuals. Individuals do support, but via the group or the cluster, or as the World Bank refers to it, the productive alliance approach, where we bring groups of farmers with they call it an aggregator, but it could be an agro-processor or a wholesaler. So that aggregator would aggregate the production supplied by the farmers to take to a market. So that is the gist of the AgriCom project. So we'll support individuals, but individuals participating within that group confine.
And the ultimate goal, it has a time span?
It has a time span. The project is geared to, destined to end in 2023, in May of 2023. We've been, at this stage in the project, we have 12 groups or 12 productive alliances that we are working with to provide them the financial and other support to implement their projects or their business plans. Yeah.
And so it ends when?
It ends in 2023, May of 2023.
So is this something that other Caribbean countries are involved in, or is this specifically?
It was the project was piloted here and in St. Vincent, but we are the only ones continuing because St. Vincent has been going through some of the travails with the volcano, etc. So the project has been cancelled in St. Vincent, but we are going forward here in Grenada.
Is there a particular reason why Grenada was chosen? I mean, good.
I know, probably because I think the bank offered it to a few countries, and we responded favorably to it to try to implement this project. So, yeah. So we've been doing, I think, a decent job in implementing it as well.
Okay, so at the end of it, it means that those persons in the organizations would be able to, as you said, increase competitiveness in the agriculture sector and be self-sufficient.
The hope is that the investments that they are elaborating under the project will bear fruit. There will be increased generation of employment and production, and there will be better market arrangements for farmers or the farmers participating in the project. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk now about youth in agriculture. We know that's something that has been spoken of for a long time. What is the ministry doing to ensure greater involvement with youth in agriculture? Okay,
this has been a topic that has been in vogue, I would say, for some years now. But it's not just in vogue, it's something that's very necessary. We have done studies over the years and realized that the farming community, the average age of our farmers have been edging up. And we think agriculture is a good avenue for entrepreneurial development for young people. So the ministry have been pursuing a couple of initiatives, but one of the challenges that youth has in terms of getting into any type of business is collateral, financing, land, and especially in agriculture, you need land. So one of the initiatives that the ministry has undertaken to address the issue of youth not having access to land is the Land Bank project. We are doing that project in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO. And we are at an advanced stage in the implementation of that project. The government of Grenada would have allocated two pilot land bank sites, one in Grand Bacolet in St. David's and the other in Diamond in St. Mark. So we have issued call for applications of young persons and other persons as well. But we have a special, I would say, we have a special allocation. We want a lot of youth to apply because we're trying to get more youth in agriculture. So we have started receiving applications for the pilot site in Grand Bacolet. To date, we have received 64 applications, and as of yesterday, those applications were being evaluated to pre-select the most favorable candidates.
So how do you determine who are the favorable candidates?
Well, there's a technical evaluation committee that has a certain amount of criteria, and they're gonna, I'm not on the committee, so I'm not au fait with all of the criteria listed there, but they do have a list of criteria, and they are going to evaluate against that criteria. Yeah.
So any idea how this, is it like a training or something, what would take place to ensure that they fully, if I should say fully qualify, just to ensure that they do what is expected of them under the project?
Yeah, the important thing, like in all things, is that these things have legs, they are sustainable, and they go on. And we want the people who access lands under the land bank to succeed in what, especially the youth. So we are working with the GIDC to do business training to ensure that the people approach this development of the plots on the land bank in a business-like approach, in an entrepreneurial type of approach. So we are working with GIDC to provide that kind of training to those selected applicants.
And of course it would involve technology, because we know young people, well, some are not enthused by agriculture because they see it as spade and fork and cutlass.
Yeah, that is something that I think young people, it's not that they don't want to work hard, they want to work smarter. They want to work more efficiently. And definitely we need to bring appropriate technology to the agricultural sector. So we are looking at things like irrigation to ensure that they have water year-round, and use of small implements and mechanical tools to ensure that the work is less burdensome and wearisome. So we are trying to work so that there's more technology applied to the sector.
Great. All right, so let's talk about an issue that is very troubling. I've had interviews with a couple of officials from the Predial-Larceny Task Force already. We know that is a major problem.
It is.
What is the ministry doing to address this?
Okay, this is a major issue, and it doesn't have a one solution to it.
Exactly.
There has to be like a whole holistic approach to solving this issue. So the ministry, we have been having constant discussions with the RGPF. One, to better equip, better staff the Predial-Larceny unit attached to the Royal Grenadier Police Force. It has been working, but not working as efficiently as we would want it to.
Okay.
So we have had discussions with the Commissioner of Police and other senior officers within the police hierarchy to better staff, better equip the Predial-Larceny unit. The other thing we've been doing, up to last year, we had a revision of the legislation for Predial-Larceny, especially as it deals with highly vulnerable crops, or crops that are prone to Predial-Larceny, like soursop. So we have made some amendments. Now it's up to the ministry to put together the plan to actually implement the amendments made to the legislation. So we are in the process of doing that. Additionally, we are trying to resuscitate the whole Farm Watch program, where we bring farmers together to do more, I guess, policing, I would say, quote unquote, to support each other in terms of addressing this whole issue of Predial-Larceny. And the other thing we need to do is build the whole public awareness, because we need the public on board with us. So if you go around, let's say in the next week or so, you will see different billboards across Grenada trying to bring more awareness and more attention to the whole issue of Predial-Larceny. But additionally, we need the public, the general public, to partner with us on this initiative as well. When people, the more we buy things from any and anybody, we don't know where these things are coming from. We need to kind of be the farmer's keeper in that sense. And another thing we really need to do, and we were trying to do, is expand the farmers registration and vendors registration initiative, so that all persons trading and dealing with agricultural produce have identification, and the police could question you. Can I see your ID? Can I see where? Can you give me an indication as to where you got this from and that from? So it's a, and another thing, I almost forgot. One of the major things that we need to do again is to bring technology to the issue. So we've been having discussions with various IT-minded persons in order to try and bring some sort of technology, camera, drone technology, to the whole issue of predial larceny. We're in early stages of discussion on these things, but we know that this has to be part of the mix.
Right. Yeah. But the ID card aspect, I mean, if you have produce you're selling and you can't produce an ID, then we know there's a problem there. Because one of the things that the police have often said to me, if people are buying from people and you know you're getting it cheaper than it normally is, then you must realize there's a problem. So I guess that's what you mean by our brother's keeper in that sense.
Exactly. We need to, somebody come selling things, ask them for an ID. Are you a farmer? Where you get, so that we generate that sort of idea in the minds of the public, so that we diminish the incidences of predial larceny.
But that is still a work in progress.
It's a work in progress, but again, I must stress it's a major issue, and we need participation and collaboration from all our stakeholders to address it.
Definitely. So let's talk about a problem that is of concern, major concern to livestock farmers now, the cost of feed. How are we addressing that one?
Yeah, up to yesterday we had a meeting with the Prime Minister, and that was an issue raised in terms of the cost of feed and how it's impacting the operations of livestock farmers. I know the Minister and some of the senior persons in the livestock division, they've been having ongoing discussions with ADM, the Caribbean Agro parent company, as to how we go about addressing that. It's, again, still a work in progress. And there are other major decisions I think that would have to be taken as to giving farmers other options, because it's a monopolistic situation we have, with Caribbean Agro being the sole provider of feed for livestock in the country. So we are working on it, I guess, on two tracks. We are having discussions with ADM to see how we address it, and we're also looking at other avenues of providing feed to farmers, because it is increasing the cost of the final product. I mean, if one looks at all of the services that we do provide to the farming community, it is a lot. The government, I think, on an annual basis foregoes something between like $2 to $4 million just on concessions that we give to farmers in terms of procuring vehicles and other farming inputs. So we support farmers there. We provide planting material at the Maribo and other propagation stations at seriously subsidized prices. Last, the chief agronomist indicated that we spend about $30 to produce every plant that we sell for a price of between $2 to $5 to the farming community. So we can do more. We are trying to do more, but I think the ministry does do a lot to move the sector. But I'll be the first to admit that we can do more, and we are trying to structure the ministry, restructure the ministry to provide an even better service to the farming community.
But that equation you just gave me there, how are you going to sustain that?
We have been doing it for a while in terms of providing some of these things at subsidized prices, because what we're trying to do is get the farmer cost of production down so that he could sell at a more reasonable price to the consumer at the end of the day. Benefits. So the long-term benefits of it.
So what are some of the other major initiatives in the ministry at this time that you can point to?
Okay, so like we started the program this morning, we started talking about the Agricom project. So far this year, approximately, we've provided in excess of $2 million to the beneficiaries under that particular project.
Okay.
We are also looking seriously at rehabilitating the government-owned estates, because now if you could track back to 2013, we started a commercialization process of those. That hasn't borne the kind of fruit that we expected it to. So some of the estates are now back with the government, and we, up to the day before yesterday, I think, would have submitted to Cabinet a plan for us to revitalize, rehabilitate the Granbury estate, put it back under production, and get it to a level where it brings some revenue to the government, but also that it brings some non-financial benefits as well, in terms of providing foods to institutions, in terms of providing agricultural commodities at lower prices as well. So that plan is before Cabinet. They will sit on it next week. and we hope that they consider it favorably.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
what was trying to get in my mind what the structure would be like if it's considered favorably? What would be taking place there? I mean, clearly you have to have people working. What will that look like?
Yeah, we have put a draft management structure for managing the estate. We have put together a 5-year plan as to how we're gonna put different crops on the estate. We're also looking to work closer with marketing board in terms of providing them certain export commodities at lower prices to enable them to kind of restart and reinvigorate the agricultural export enterprise as well. Because marketing board has not been exporting as before, so all this estate revitalization plan fits into that bigger picture also.
Right. So, staying on that, with COVID-19 placing so much focus now on the agriculture sector, the revitalization of the estate that you mentioned, is that one of the initiatives?
That is one of the initiatives. Exactly.
Okay, so what else would be done?
We continue to do our annual farm labor support program. Over the years, we have had some issues with it. We have made some tweaks to it this year, so it's gonna be a more streamlined, a more organized farm labor support program, so that we provide that farm labor support to farmers who are one, needing of it, and two, who could really make an impact at the end of the day. So this is the other big thing that we do every year that we intend to roll out soon.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, just to say that agriculture is not just tourism, that's everybody's business. It's agriculture as well. And another thing we need to do, over the years there's been this tourism or agriculture thing. I think it's tourism and agriculture. What we need to do is make agriculture reap a greater percentage of the tourist dollar in terms of providing more food on a consistent basis to all of the tourist-related facilities, hotels, restaurants, etc., so that the farmer has an additional market, an additional source of revenue for their produce. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. You're welcome.
All right.
Great. So we've been speaking with Mr. Gregory Delsol, Senior Planning Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, and of course talking about a lot of the initiatives taking place in the ministry right now. One of the major ones, of course, the Land Bank project, and of course seeking to revitalize the Grand Bras estate. We know how important agriculture is. If we could keep down our import bill that we're always talking about that is so high, this would be a very, very good thing for us.